lifelink, and has the ability to bounce itself to your hand for 3 mana, and equip a 5. Before Call of Duty, Batterskull was the biggest and baddest equipment that Stoneforge Mystic could shoot down. Batterskull still sees some play alongside Culture Complete, as sometimes the life gain and ability to bounce itself back to your hand is better than the immediate gain of Assault. The Culture is slightly more playing than Batterskull, so let's put precedent on this list. And at number 5, we have Leyline of the Void. This is an enchantment with a mana cost of 2 and 2 black, and it has the abilities where if it's in your opening hand, you can start the game with it on the field. And if a card would be put into your opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you exile it instead. Graveyard decks have always been really strong, so cards like Leyline of the Void have always seen play to help keep them in check. This card is one of the best versions of this effect out there, as it's the only way to have this effect active during your opponent's first turn while you're going second. Now, actually casting Leyline of the Void for a full 4 mana is quite bad, so people generally just don't bother with it if they don't get it in their opening hand, and will usually mulligan for it if they really need it for a specific matchup. It also has one of the best versions of Graveyard Hate, as it stops cards from hitting the graveyard at all. You see, Leyline of the Void's second ability is what's called a replacement effect, so the cards that it exiles never actually hit the graveyard at all. This means that cards that care about when creatures die, like Blood Office, won't trigger, because the card never went to the graveyard. Now, cards that care about when cards are discarded will still work with an opposing Leyline of the Void on the field, because the cards are still being discarded, they just end up in exile instead of going to the graveyard. Leyline of the Void is also one of the best pieces of graveyard hate for decks that care about their own graveyard, as its effect is entirely one-sided. If you're trying to reanimate your creatures, having Leyline on the field won't impede you at all. When you put all these upsides together, on top of the fact that you don't even need to pay mana for Leyline of the Void, you get one of the most heavily played sideboard cards in the game. And at number 4, we have Elvish Spirit Guide. This is a 2/2 Elf Spirit with a mana cost of 2 and green, and the ability where you can exile it from your hand to add a 1 green mana. Being able to get more mana than you're supposed to have is always a good effect, and being able to get mana without paying any mana is even better. Elvish Spirit Guide and her counterpart, Simian Spirit Guide, have both mostly seen play in combo decks and just want to get their combo done as soon as possible. Simian Spirit Guide sees play in Sneak and Show, a deck that tries to use Sneak Attack and Show and Tell to cheat out huge threats as quickly as possible, and sees play over Elvish Spirit Guide, mostly used to make red instead of green mana, which makes it better helping you cast Sneak Attack. Sneak and Show can usually win if it's able to cheat out one of the threats into play, but the longer they have to wait to do so, the more likely their opponent can stop them with discard spells, counter spell, or some sort of attack. So, in order to try and get their threats out before their opponent can stop them, the deck uses fast mana cards that lose them card advantage